Hey everybody, it is Elsa 932 on YouTube. No intro. No intro. We got a lot to go through with Love is Blind Brazil. So there is no intro. There is too much to cover, too much to do, too much wildness going on for my 50 and over crowd. I don't know. We found out why there's no reunion because there may be what? Restraining orders. The bride then ran out the building in a convertible with another member of the pod squad. We have too much going on. We have the one couple that got married. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know what to tell y'all. Let me put up this media asset, okay? These are all the people we had that got out the pods and only 3 made it to the altar. Only 3 made it to the altar. And one is probably regretting he made it to the altar. He couldn't believe he made it that far. But now he's like, I wish I didn't make it that far. Let's see who's here. Oh, thank you, Ari. Let me thank you, Ari, for always supporting the channel. Y'all, I can't wait to talk about this with everyone. I can't wait. Can't wait. Cannot wait. And we will say thank you. As always, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we can't wait to talk about it. Let's see who else is here. Trey Mack is here. Sam, I know Sam can't wait to talk about it all. Munira, hey, 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 glad to see you here. Moondust Angel is with us. All righty. Moondust Angel said, me too. Me too. And Ari is grabbing her pearls already. And members talking about grabbing pearls. Members, tomorrow night's live at 8 o'clock EST. Prepare for your pearls. Prepare with your pearls. Because I went out into the wild and the wilderness and saw something in somebody's windshield that I never thought I would see out in public. And I'm going to bring it to y'all tomorrow. Okay. So let me just say, hey, Debbie, glad to see you. Let's just say that these seniors are wild. Mario Roberto over here, he's the one that want to have a restraining order on Lucielma. She went off the deep end. If y'all have not seen my aftermath, you need to see the aftermath. It's just 8 minutes. It's just 8 minutes. She's the one who ran off. She threw the bouquet out the convertible. She wrote him a letter. He threw it in the trash. He said, if you're going to talk to me, you got to talk to me face to face. And then proceeded to try and reach this man by any means, any phone number, neighbor, coworker, everybody. She tried to use their phone, her daughters, her grandkids, everybody. She tried to reach that man. Luciana is unstable, impulsive in her behavior. She must have been worse when she was younger. I understand why the family doesn't want to be involved. Right, Munira. Here's the thing. Not only that, now we see why we have no reunion. Thank you, Lucielma. Thank you, Lucielma. This is why we don't have a reunion. Why? Because Mario Roberta cannot be in the same room, same stage, same studio with her. This is why they did it. That's just my assumption. I don't know for sure. I don't know production there. Nivea and Ricardo, he didn't want to get married. He didn't want to get married at all. Ida and Ed, I told y'all they would get married. I said, how long would it be? How long would it be for them to get married? I'm putting the link down there. I'm just going to go over them. You could feel free, okay? But I'll bring you up when the time comes. Ida and Ed didn't last. The only one to get married, and they didn't last. Leo and Lika, we saw them in the aftermath. We saw them in the aftermath, and you know, let's just say that Leo dodged a bullet. But here's the thing, Leo, you just dipping and dodging and dating all over the place. Revo and Sylvia. Revo was at somebody's wedding. With Lika on his arm, and they trying to tell us they didn't go out on a date. They didn't go out for drinks. They just walked in on arm. And no, I'm sorry. Lies, all lies. And Sylvia, I'm sorry. Your time is up. I'm sorry. Again. Sorry. Trey, I see you talking all this stuff about the jiggling Chewbacca. We will not have the disrespect. That doesn't mean Chewbacca can't jiggle with it. Okay. Okay. This is a way for me to say thank you. It's not disrespectful. It's just, I ain't shaking my moneymaker, but somebody had Chewbacca out there wiggling and I decided to take it up. Okay. Okay. Speaking of, let me bring Trey, Ari. Oh, Ari, I gotta adjust this for you not to be blocked out. I gotta adjust this for you not to be blocked completely out. Trey, since you were otherwise occupied last week, what do you have to say about this season?
Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. I have to say about this season. Um, I guess it doesn't matter what age you are. If you already have a foolishness spirit, you're going to be foolishness in all of your life. Just foolishness, you know. And the only thing that got me was kind of sad to see people of this age act this foolish. I'm like, okay, this is weird, but okay, it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong, it entertained me, but I'm sorry, it was foolishness.
Well, beautiful Sam, I see those lovely highlights. Is that for us?
This is for y'all. Look, I put the good wig on for my family.
Are you entering the pods out where you are?
Listen, I wish it was a pod. I'm just jealous I can't twerk like Chewbacca. Maybe I wouldn't be.
don't don't don't
Trey
trigger
looking
Trey
real
here.
close. Trey
Hey,
looking
Trey,
real close.
You looking for the highlights, Trey?
I'm just trying to get an inspection
Trey,
done. That's all. Just
we're
doing
not gonna
inspection.
ask you to twerk. It's okay. Only Chewbacca is twerking. We're
You
not gonna
sure?
make you do it.
No, because I could try. Okay, let me sit down.
Chewbacca twerks for monetary gain. Anybody contribute? Chewbacca twerks. We don't twerk for free around here,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
And
Let me
there's
sit
only
down.
certain monetary and certain if a member donates, yes. Okay,
Oh
so
man, that would be fun.
right. If a member donates, but monetary, but we have the birds too that wiggle. We got movement around here. We do not, discriminate what kind of species can wiggle and move, Trey. Okay. Sam, what were your thoughts? And thank you to the person in the commentary who told me you need to go look at that recap because that is the aftermath of everything.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very
Because
much. What were your thoughts?
I
Because
wouldn't
I
watch it
wasn't
either.
gonna watch it.
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning this. Somebody mentioned it to you because I saw the recap in the menu, but I thought it was just going to be the people giving their feedback, and I thought, oh well, I'm good on that. So I didn't realize it was going to be, and then I watched your recap as well. So my thoughts are that I'm very glad that they did it because I'd always wondered why they would not explore the other side, of folks that were 50 plus. So I was happy to see that they did it. But I think I have to dovetail on what I think Trey was saying, which was M to the E to the S to the S. Uh, and the saddest part about it is I couldn't even excuse a lot of it because life experience was such that the types of mistakes, the not having the discussions that they should have had, things of that nature, you can kind of say, well, when you have youth on your side, these are things you haven't thought through quite yet. But by the time you're having kids and your kids are having kids, there's really no pass that I can give. So I know we'll get into details, but that's my overall thought. I think you're looking for the overview, and that's my overall thought.
Yes.
Happy they had it, but there's much more to be discussed. So I got my sippy cup. I already asked Trey and Ari, am I doing too much? They said I'm okay, so I'm ready for today.
Ari, what were your thoughts about the whole to the aftermath? Just your initial thoughts, and then we're gonna get into each couple.
Um, so Alexa, please play "Obsessed" by Mariah Carey because that's what that's what is given is obsessed. So I'm gonna leave it there and let Moon Dust Angel go.
Well, Ari, my device that I have here actually started playing that music. I had to ask her to stop. Yeah, like Sam
Sorry.
said, it was definitely wilder than I expected. Like as I said before, when I first started, I expected the older people to have a bit more sense. And initially, it looked like they did. And I was kind of saying, wow, they're so mature. Everybody is supportive. Nobody is crashing out. And then, production was like, yeah, give it a couple of days. Once they're relaxed, everybody everywhere is going to crash out for all kinds of silly reasons. And I found it very, like, some of it was quite chaotic. And at that hour of your life, you really should know better. And if you don't know better, you should be finding out why. What's wrong with you that you don't know better? If you're having kids and you're having grandkids, why are you not able to make better choices? But and kind of maybe there's a reason some of these people should just be alone. Maybe they don't need somebody. Maybe they just need a lot of help.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with that. Now, I need 50 more. Okay. I need every Love is Blind franchise in every country and town to do an over 50 version. Because I tell you, as everyone here on the panel is, we were looking for the mature love. But this is telling us that if you don't nip it in the bud early, if you don't nip it in the bud at a young age, you're going to end up like these seniors down here, being wild and wondering why no one is choosing you, wondering why you are single, or maybe just don't do the show and be happy being single. Because there's no reason for them to be here. They're not, trying for social media stardom. They have their careers. They're well established. Unless, Sylvia, her how can I say it? Her content isn't suffering, even before she went on the show. So it's like, I think they were supposed to be coming here looking for love, but I don't know. But let's start off.
If
I love,
mature people are looking for love, they should actually be mature as well.
they should be mature, but we have some that are cosplaying as mature, and we're going to get to them. So let's start off with the bonfire. I always like a bonfire. We're going to start off with Mario Roberto and Lucy Elma. Trey, you up.
You know what? You know what? I
Uh-oh, the
have
hand rubbing
no.
coming out.
I, there's a small part of me that wants to have slight sympathy, and then it just drained away. The way she conducted herself by not showing up at the altar. From the moment it started coming up on screen, I'm looking like, okay, what's going on here? Something don't feel right. Something's off. I knew from the moment it came, I was like, something off. I feel like she's playing. You're playing games. Like something. And when old girl, what's the lady, the other castmate that was with her? She has a start with an E, right?
Houstonelli.
Houstonelli. I'm trying to figure out why is Houstonelli here. This doesn't make sense. Why is she here? And I noticed they did that for a couple of the women that have other castmates come on as support or whatever. But I'm just looking up like here. This is off. But what crystallized for me, the important thing for me, okay, they come up to say she's not showing up. I said, okay, here we go. He has to walk up and tell Mario. Mario is smiling, but it seemed like a false smile to me. I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say this. I don't think I know what he said. I don't think Mario is gonna say no. I think he said face and said no, that his answer is gonna be no after Lucia Maya did what she did. I think he's gonna be probably I had a feeling he was gonna be a begrudging yes. A begrudging yes. I just had that feeling. I just thought it was too interesting. Lucy Maya did what she did, and I'm looking at his face, and he was like, And you notice he never said no up at the altar. They just ended it. He said no in his little confessional. That's afterwards. That's afterwards. I'm like, nah. I think he was a yes. If she would have showed up, I think he would probably been a yes. But because the way he acted afterward, I think he acted appropriately. But the way he went about it, he acts a little too butthurt by not receiving all of her calls. Play this. Remember, he threw the letter in the trash. Said, "You can't say it to my face. Don't need to talk." She spins the block, and you know she said, "Hey, let's talk," or whatever. He doesn't want to see all of a sudden. You're his right. I think it's the right decision, but the decision is what got me. I'm thinking, what's the harm, bro? I mean, it's probably gonna be a no anyway. It is what it is. What's the harm? You don't even want to talk to her. No, you hurt. He's hurt a little bit. That was embarrassing. He felt it in front of his daughters, his mom, and everything. Yeah, he felt that. His sister, he felt it. So now he a little pissy piss, which he should be. But nah, that told me, I was like, yeah. He was probably gonna be a yes. When it came time for his confessional, I gotta save face a little bit. I'm gonna say no. Here's my reasons why. His reasons made sense. But it's just something about the look in his eye. I was like, nah, he got hurt a little bit. He felt a little bit of embarrassment off of that.
I thought it was embarrassment that you said no to me before I could say no to you. I thought that was the case. But Sam, you want to roast Lucy Elma?
I think I want to. It's a mild roast. It's a mild roast.
That's the cancer in you. You gonna sympathize with her.
I know I'm gonna lean into the cancer a little bit, but I'll be able to explain why in just a moment. I do, before I forget the thought, want to mention, kind of just make a comment on what Trey just said a moment ago. I was not sure, and I'm still not in this moment. I don't know if he would have said yes or no, but I think there's a valid point that for the saving of the face of it all, I can buy that aspect of the argument. What I will say, though, is I'm in agreement with why he never took the calls. I would have done the same. These are calls I would not have given her that audience, because it's one thing if she would have gone up there and said no. She left. She got in a convertible, threw out the flowers, threw up the peace sign, and said, "I'm out." I mean, that was, in all of Love is Blind history, to me, that seems like that's the worst that I've seen. Now, maybe I'm wrong. But at least, and again, this is where I owe the youth an apology. At least the youth have gone to the aisle and said no at the, we've got somebody who's of a mature age that felt like, and then she didn't even have the courage to do without her girl saying, "We're in this together. Yeah, girl, you're priority number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Let's go." Had her hype girl to get her to go. So I can understand why he wouldn't have taken the calls. And further, why it was good, we can see why he should not have, is look at how crazy, I'm sorry to use that word, maybe not crazy. Look at how fanatical she is. Crazy, is it? Look at how fanatical she became. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puff she became. One call after the other, using friends and family. So I think it really speaks to why. Now, in terms of why I'm going to be a little bit gentle on her, the last, and I won't go into the last one that we had, but this is where I wanted to explain myself and where I get real flip-floppy. Because I was saying in the last Love is Blind, France, that should there be this aspect of casting and production that kind of vets to make sure that you have people in the healthiest state of mind to do these types of things. I think someone said, well, and it was a great point, well, if that was the case and it was that logical, who would tune in to these shows? Because you kind of go watch the Lifetime channel then, really, if you're looking for stability and if you're looking for things that don't bring carnage. But clearly something's not right with this woman. Something's not right. And so this is the cancer part of me that's like, I get a good old key out of it, and I want to roast her for real. Something's wrong. Even when she was in her testimonial saying what she was doing, she still cried. And this is like a year. This is post 12, 13, 14 months later, and she's still in this emotional state. So that's why I guess the part of me that gets off of the keying of it all says something's not right with this woman. She's still crying a year later. She handled it horribly. She herself said, the more he did not take my calls, the more I tried to contact him. This woman is a grandparent. This is what she said. The more he ignored, the more I chased. That doesn't sound stable. And so I'll wrap it up by saying, you said something, and maybe it was tongue in cheek, Elle said, but yeah, maybe there was some sort of restraining order. Maybe production wanted to protect themselves and could not bring all of these people in the room together. Given her behavior, it would be fair for them to say, you know what, on a reunion, we're going to have to scratch this. Let's just go ahead, bring some cameras, do some interviews, and let's, clean it up. Let's leave it at that. So that's my kind of roast, but not roast. I hope that makes sense.
It made sense. And it's not just her. Last season, I should say, for Love is Blind Brazil, they had, an incident of a bride accused a groom of DV. She only came to the reunion to basically call him out to his face. And I think that kind of put them back skittish because they were not prepared. You saw the host and hostess didn't even know this was going to come out. So they were like, I think Brazil is like kind of skittish with a reunion now. Mm-hmm. And I understand why. And if you have Lucielma being a little unhinged, you will not want to put that man in that room, with her or in production, because if she can't reach him and he doesn't want to speak to her, then you're forcing him in a situation where he has to listen. Mm-hmm. And it's his prerogative not to listen to her at all. But I kept saying it, and that was tongue in cheek until she kept showing it every time. Arrested Development. Right. This is what I expect a teenage girl in high school to be constantly trying to reach the boy that she sent the note to, mm-hmm. that he didn't answer her, that she is constantly trying to reach him, go into his class, jumping on his bus. Again, this is not, the mature behavior of a grandmother of, I think, grandmother of 2 or 3 that she is. But Ari, is it mild roast or is it a spicy roast?
I have no idea. I'll let you judge this. I mean, I personally don't think so, because I'm pretty much gonna reiterate, or pretty much agree with what Sam and Trey and you pretty much have said. The only thing I will say that is probably in Sam, be quiet. I'm sorry, I'm reacting to the private chat. But the only thing I will say that is in slightly disagreement with Trey, and I think pretty much in mostly disagreement with you, I'll say it, is that I think that Mario was going to be a whole yes, a complete yes, as opposed to a probable yes in Trey's case. Because the way he was acting definitely was given that he was, like, to me, was gonna, like, he was gonna say yes. Unfortunately, I mean, and he was just trying to save face. And I mean, and I was just thinking this just now that it's her behavior is giving, unfortunately, that she which lends into the thinking that she had something horrible happen to her when she was a teenager, and which led into her getting married at a young age, at like 16, whatever age it was. So, and she never was able to get out of that young mindset because she didn't get the help she needed. So, yeah, and it's a unfortunate that she overstepped boundaries and made Mario feel uncomfortable to the point he had to continue blocking numbers, because nobody should have to feel so uncomfortable that they can't sort of forgive on their own timeline, because at this point he's probably never going to forgive her. So I mean, which I don't disagree with, because at this point, like, she's doing way too much. But if she just allowed him space, she probably would have gotten to uh, uh, let's talk. I can see if I can forgive you, and if not, we at least we've talked or something or whatever. But at this point, she dug her own hole, and she just needs to. I'm glad she says she's in therapy. I don't know how much that's true, because, as she said in the little confessional, she wanted to. The more he kept not saying anything to her, the more she wanted to pursue him. So I don't know how much this is working, but I mean, saying she's in therapy is good, I guess. We just have to see if she's actually doing any sort of work. So that's really all I have to kind of say.
We'll have to see if the therapy is actually going to be working, because I'm telling you, if this was the flip side, if this was
Yep.
a man calling the woman constantly, because I'm scared that she was going to show up at his place of employment, where it's also where he lives, because she knows where it is. He
Yep.
took her for a visit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whew. Moondust Angel.
Yeah, my opinion on this is quite strong, and probably different, I guess, to the rest of you. I think when you're that age, it's very immature and childish to be leaving someone at the aisle. You should be big enough and grown enough to go to them. Now, for me, it was obvious to me, at least, that he was going to say no, because the reality of the situation is, who's going to want to be with someone that's that controlling? I'd imagine he has a life. I don't think he wouldn't want to be with someone like that. I believe he was going to say no, but the fact that she was so childish and couldn't even like turn up to the aisle, even if it was going to be no, like you're not mature enough to turn up to the aisle. She ran off. She's got grandkids. What kind of example is she setting them? Either that it's okay to just treat people like crap and run off, and then in the aftermath, her kind of crying and saying like, I have to get therapy and stuff. Well, you ran off, ma'am. What exactly do you expect him to do? He's not going to be. You don't get to run off acting like some kind of, I don't know, crazy villain hero thingy in your head. Like, yay, I'm free. And then be like, oh, but he doesn't want to know. You're damn right he doesn't want to know. Who's going to want to know anything about you after that point? It's madness. I mean, and it's just childish at her age. And a lot of we'll get into that in a while, but a lot of the people went to the altar and they said no. And that's absolutely fine. But it's just childish to run away like that and still, and constantly phoning him, get a memo, woman. If he's not answering, it's you. You are the common denominator. You're the denominator itself. Just quit while you're ahead, cut it out, and maybe take some time to learn how to love yourself properly and without feeling the desperate need to be with someone or to control. Um, as I said before on a different chat, to do with this, the whole I'm gonna hurt you before you can hurt me. That's very, childish. And you have grandkids and kids, and what kind of example are you setting to them? That it's okay to kind of appear, at least, as though you're nearly stringing somebody along and then just run off when it gets too tough. Part of being an adult is to face yourself in your scariest moment and realize, okay, I've brought myself to this situation. I realized this wasn't working and I chose to come here. I now have to deal with the consequences of my own actions. To be honest, we can't all get in super sports cars and fly off down the highway away from problems. I mean, cool for a Hollywood movie, Tom Cruise, etc., not so much for this kind of real life program. And, even if it wasn't him, what would anybody think of somebody that did that? This is what blows my mind. Why would you even think you'd be worthy of contact? Like, how many issues do you have? And when I saw, because like Sam said, I wasn't really going to watch the other part until someone had said, like, oh no, there's stuff in there. Like the celebrities are reacting, but then they're going to give an update. When I watched that, like, she was kind of saying, yeah, I've realized I need therapy and I'm going to be getting some therapy. And I was thinking in my head, like, you're going to be getting some therapy. Why are you not in therapy now? You need therapy. And I feel sometimes this could maybe just be me, but I feel everybody uses therapy as an excuse at the moment. Like, I need to get therapy. And it's like, yeah, is that like, there's no point saying that you need to get therapy if you're not actually helping yourself. Because we can all say we need therapy. Are you doing anything about it though? And have you actually realized how damaging your own experiences were to yourself and then how you were to someone else? Because I don't feel she ever had therapy before this or after. You have to spend time kind of wanting to understand how, the things that have happened in your life have impacted you. So you don't then go on and kind of almost destroy someone else in the process. It starts with healing yourself first before you ever try looking for somebody else. I suppose I just wish more people knew that because it would be a lot easier and just be mature enough to say no. For goodness sake, like you're not a child. Get a life and say no. That's my 2 cents.
It's just like how you end a relationship is definitely going to impact, if you have a cordial speaking relationship with that person. So
Yeah.
she definitely embarrassed him in front of his family, his daughters, his sister, his mother. It's forever on Netflix Grand Television.
Yeah.
For heaven's sake, everybody wore yellow. That was her favorite color.
Mm.
Everybody in his family wore yellow. And you have embarrassed this man by just driving off and leaving the producers. I mean, not even the host knew. They were
Yeah,
they
that
were
was
shocked too.
wild. That was
But
wild.
we put on this. That's why I put a question out there for everyone in my recap. Is this disrespectful?
Yes.
You got a custom dress. We got this whole wedding put together, and you just drove off.
Yeah, it definitely is disrespectful. And something else that I noticed to do with like the other couples, which also drove me crazy, is why the hell was everybody saying to all the other couples, you do realize if you don't want to do this, we can just leave now. Because that came across as disrespectful as well. I'm not sure if they were joking or not, but I thought it was distasteful to also be saying some people like to the other couples, you can leave now if you want. You don't even have to go down the aisle. And I thought, like, it's been a while since I saw the last, whatever the last Love is Blind Brazil I saw was. So I thought, like, oh, is this normal in Brazil? Is it normal to suggest that people maybe do run away and don't go down the aisle? Because that's whack to me. I understand nothing about this. Face your demons. Go and say no and just deal with it.
It was okay. Argentina, they walked away. We had at least one or two couples that decided to just leave the experiment and live their life together to see if things would work out. So that was Argentina. Trey, you wanted to chime in?
No, I was gonna pick it back off what you just said. I was gonna ask. I don't think from what I can remember, I don't think we've ever had a situation like this per se. Like going to the aisle, it's time to walk down, and you run out. This is the first time this ever actually happened. If both of y'all would have came together in beforehand, but like, you know what, this ain't gonna work, blah 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 blah. Okay, or or usually what's supposed to happen, they both go up to the altar. The show is designed for y'all both to come to the altar and get the yes or no there in front of everyone. It's designed to be that way. This, yeah, I think it seemed like Lucy and Maya. It's
Lucy Elma.
Lucy Elma. My mistake. Lucy Elma. It seemed like this was like a last minute stunt in her head. Like, okay, because she said it herself. She was unsure of what he was going to say, and that spoke to her own insecurities. She said it. The funny thing is, a part of me feels her because I'm like, I wouldn't go down the aisle with nobody if I'm not sure what you're going to be a yes, because I'm not going to allow you to go down the aisle with me unless you just show us a yes for me. But This has always been for the framework of this show. You're not supposed to know. That's why you get this song and dance of like Mario. Well, we'll see when we get up there. Blah blah blah. It's supposed to be that way. They tell them that is what you're supposed to do. They tell them this. So you're not supposed to know unless y'all get in some tit for tat and y'all end up walking away beforehand. But even then, they keep trying to push you. Hey, can you at least make it down to the wedding in an hour? Blah blah blah. And say it then. So this is out of the norm for Love Is Blind. Any iteration is out of the norm.
Ari, you had your mic open. You wanted to have a final say?
I was gonna say, like, the only version where I think not 100% where we had a runaway bride, but in Japan they had that older gentleman with the younger woman. He had gone to her and said, and like when they were getting ready for the wedding, he had went to her little like suite or whatever where she was getting dressed and said, I don't think this is gonna work, and called it off. But that's like the closest in any other version that I can think of that we had sort of a potential for like a runaway bride or groom. But that's the only thing I was gonna say.
Yeah, but right, but she wasn't left at the altar to face everybody, on the side. Sam, you wanted to say, I'm gonna let you have a final thought or word.
Yeah, my final quick thought on this would be, I'm wondering where production starts to play a role in some of this, because that car was ready to go. I mean, she made the decision. She wasn't going to stay. The car is ready to go. Why did production even allow that? And off topic for a millisecond, I think Denver's coming up next week. And I thought I saw in a promo a young man say, have you ever dated people who are Asian? I'm bringing that up to say they're kind of starting to get out of the scope, production, when I say they. It's almost as if they're getting out of the scope of keeping this to what the original blueprint was. Because if you're supposed to reveal yourself at the aisle, then you reveal yourself at the aisle. There should be a car that you can go and your friend can get in and you're tossing flowers. I mean, that was a very filmed, edited, slow-mo. Okay, there wasn't slow-mo. I'm just putting 20 on 10. But it was a very nicely, slickly produced kind of thing that she was running off. How were they ready for that? So that would be my final word. The production, I think, is getting a little bit, I know they're trying to put on the show. It's not Lifetime, but
here's the thing, Sam. Do we have proof that the person who tossed the bouquet out of that convertible is her?
We don't, and then that makes my point even worse. Because
right.
Now really, that's a great question. We don't. You're absolutely right.
Then we need a scene. So we
did see her arm. That was her arm, but then it cut to the bouquet landing on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been a cut there, and it just pieced that together. Could have been. Yeah. But we did see her arm do this number.
We see an arm. We don't know. We did not see the face of the person whose arm it was. What I'm saying is, production could put a lady who's a brunette with curly hair,
sure,
and throw something out of, because we know she doesn't drive a convertible. We don't know what Ustinelli drives. But that whole scene, when I looked at it, I said, production, this could be filmed just to insert here to make it seem like this is how she got, she drove off.
Mm-hmm.
We did not actually see them. We just saw ladies, one wearing white, one wearing the color Ustinelli was wearing, but we did not see them close up through the windshield.
I assumed the convertible was supposed to have been the car that both the bride and the groom was going to drive off in regardless.
So now we have Grand Theft Auto. It's not hers. It was supposed to be used for production, and now you're driving off with Ustinelli. Again, I do agree that this was heavily produced scene, because if they are sneaking in there with their headphones on to tell the host that she isn't coming, they were shocked. They wouldn't do that like that. The host and them, you could slide them a note and film that, but they were shocked. So they filmed that, in my opinion, that whole getaway scene, a particular way. But here's my thing. I think that she did come here for someone. I'm going to, wrap this up with them. She did come here for someone. Mario Roberto is not her person, but how she ended this is not how you end a relationship and expect to the person to even have a conversation with you after the fact. This is not how you do it. But let's move on to the next couple. We're going to keep it how they appear on the screen. Nivea and Ricardo. Y'all, I'm gonna since Trey missed, last week, I'm gonna start with Trey with each couple. Okay, y'all. Please bear with me, and then I'll juggle y'all around. But we always do ladies first. He is outnumbered. He is, in the middle. But since we missed him last week and his comments, I'm gonna let him have first say this week. Don't ever say I ain't done nothing for you, Trey. Okay? Don't ever say.
I appreciate you so much, Ayla. I appreciate you. Now I'm gonna keep it short. Ricardo definitely was trying to self-sabotage. He was looking for every reason that he could come up with to find issues to give him the reason to say no. He knew he wasn't. He knew that. I do think he liked her, but not enough to say yes or be married to her. But I do think he liked her. But it wasn't enough to like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get married. Yeah, no. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Nivea, as things went along, especially those last few episodes and even this last wrap up, I kept getting the sense of, you know what? I don't think you were truly here for the right reasons as well. And the only reason I say this is every time, I know it's part of her storyline, but just bear with me. This might be a reach. But every time she talks about her journey here, because Ricardo, she will always bring up Ricardo, always talks about their journey here, the journey. And to her, that was an indication he wasn't taking this seriously. I agree with her. But then she will automatically go into her journey here. And it will always start and end with how her children wasn't supportive of her in this process. All of a sudden, something hit me. I started to think. I was like, wait a minute. This might be a reach. I apologize if it is. But did you only do this because your kids didn't support you? Or your kids wasn't supportive of this process with it? Because it was just weird to me. She always start with, I came here and my kids didn't want me here. I came here and they didn't support me. I'm here on my own. I'm like, okay, they didn't support you. Okay, cool. That's cool. I get you. I know you feel she feels some type of way about it. But I just thought it was just kind of strange. That was always the start of her scenario, and she ended with it. Like, I could be reaching. But I just thought it was just kind of weird how that came about. But the way he acted at that dinner, walking off, I was like, bro, I don't. What are you doing? Okay, you just trying to start an argument for no reason. Even I could see it. I was like, bro, you stop. Okay, you look like a fool. Now, the funny thing is, I think he might have sensed that she was coming in on not on 10. She was on a good smooth 8 because she was coming in feeling some type of way anyway. And she said she was going to bring it up. I think he caught on to it, and he was like, I'm going to beat you to the punch. Showed his ass, excuse my language, and then pimped up out of there.
How about beat her to the hair dryer? Now, Trey, have you
Yep.
have you done that sort of cosmetic for your lady? Have you helped her with her hair?
I have helped women with their hair, taking it down, stuff like that, whatever, I may have to cut a track out of to snatch a wig off,
I think we gonna change the word snatch.
Hey.
But
I have removed an installation properly.
Oh, lovely, without any hair loss. Lovely.
And
Lovely.
I have snatched the installation because it was asked of me to do so. Snatch the hair. Okay, boom.
I think what we saw with, and Munira is saying it here, I think his daughter is like her children. Okay. They are tired of their parents ripping and running through this dating world, acting like they are the same age. They are ripping and running through this dating. And it's like, Nivea is a beautiful woman. But when I saw that short silver dress, I said, oh, hot tamale, we going to be a problem out here in these clubs. Hot tamale. I think Ricardo, I said in my recap, is a senior F boy, a silver fox F boy. I don't think he wants to be married, and that's okay. But then why be in this show where marriage is the ultimate goal? Ari, what are your thoughts on Nivea and Ricardo?
Excuse me. So I now you snatched only on request. Trey, stop it. Stop it. But sorry, no, get myself. Okay, you know what? I think you need to go back to me.
Is it snatched from the front or the back? You see, I had to go there. I had to go there. Trey, you do not need to answer that.
No, you don't snatch from the front. That's irresponsible. You grab from the middle with a slight tug, and as acts are going on, the adhesive will come apart. It's already at the end of the day, so you're prepared for it. It's at the end of the night, so it's ready to come off anyway. Just do a little tight snug.
Oh,
And
it's
then,
removable. Wonderful,
yes,
Trey.
and
Oh,
then
like I said,
and then you
diabolical.
rub. You just can't stop it. You got to rub it between the braids as well. You got to get in there. You got to get in
A
there.
scalp massage. A scalp massage,
Yes.
Trey.
Gotta rub that scalp with the arm reach. Hit the arm reach on them. Like, yeah, it's okay, baby.
Ari, have you recovered?
Mostly. But yeah, no, I think he definitely was not ready to do anything for the show because he never gave that vibe to me. Like he just never did. Um Man, I had a thought and Trey kind of reminded me what the thought was. Now it went out my head because of wig snatching.
He snatched the thought out your head?
Yes. Maybe I'll get back to it, like think of it and I'll put it in the chat. But yeah, I just it was this that I going to Nivea that I this is where I thought he was going with it, but then he kind of went in another direction, which I don't disagree with. But I was thinking that she seems like she's still heavy in the grief of losing her first Ricardo, and she's kind of using maybe she might be using her kids as an excuse, possibly. I don't know. Maybe that's a reach. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I never noticed any of that, Trey. So that's a good point. I mean, she does bring up her kids a lot. I mean, I I was like, what is going on? I don't know, but yeah, I really don't have that much on them. I mean, all my thoughts were mostly with Mario and Lucioma and a little bit with Ida and Ed, but yeah, I really didn't have much thoughts on them. So I'll let you get to
Okay.
someone else.
Moondust Angel?
Yeah, so again, my view here was kind of different. I was quite irritated by his daughter and her insistence that he absolutely has to say yes and the determination there. But then I stopped myself and thought back to when I was 14. And I know at that age, you're not as, you don't consider yourself, I suppose, a child, but you're not a woman yet. And I know at that age, I myself probably thought it's all, fairy tales and romance and stuff, but I was kind of slightly irritated that he didn't nip that kind of behavior in the bud. Now, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, I guess, how you'd give your child the kind of reality check they might need. Or, like, I feel like he could have in some way prepared her, look, sweetheart, I don't know, this might not go the way you're thinking. Maybe you just shouldn't get so invested. Because it came across that, like, she was extremely invested. And as for Nivea, like, constantly talking about her kids not being involved, I wondered had she had them involved before in her past relationship a little bit too much? Was she having them involved too much? And did she kind of go the extreme way now of, well, kind of screw my kids? I'm not allowing them to have any input in my life. I'm gonna go off and do what I want to do with this guy. And even on the update that they gave, he was not really all that serious either at that point because they were kind of saying, essentially he wanted to hook up with her and have her almost be like a friends with benefits thing that she wasn't into. So obviously, like, that didn't really happen. And I just felt like he was, I suppose, for lack of the right phrase to use, a little bit old to be playing around like that. Like, if he knew that it just wasn't for him, I really feel like he should have said that. And as I said, like, the expectations that his daughter had should have been, like, nipped in the bud because her constantly saying, like, you have to say yes was really irritating me as a viewer. I was like, why is he not telling her, in a nice way? I mean, it wouldn't be me now because I'm too blunt, so I'd probably be nasty accidentally. But, in a nice kind of a calming way, look, this might not go the way you're thinking. Please don't get too invested. And to be honest, I feel like if, his daughter really knew anything about him anyway and how he appears to come across as a player, she'd probably know not to take it all that seriously. Maybe,
Here's
she's only
here's the
14.
thing, Moondust Angel. Remember what Ricardo said. We are not here to teach the children. They are here to teach us.
Well, I don't know what he's been learning from his child. Is it the same foolishness that the 14-year-old was showing? Maybe
Exactly.
he felt in his head if he got overly invested like she was, he could convince himself it might be the right thing. I'm not sure. I don't think
She
either of them were going to say yes. I was just a bit like, I suppose, a little confused as to why he wasn't kind of saying to her, come on. Because the pressure it was immense, I thought, And I'm not a parent, but I thought as a parent, like, I guess it gets into the whole point, like, you probably want your kids' input. Like, if you've been married and you're marrying again, like, for example, I'd assume probably when you got married again, your kids might have had some kind of say on it, or they might have taught like certain things, but you would have had an honest and open discussion about that. I
Heck
think
yeah.
he wasn't open about things like that with his
I think he
kids.
is too open with her because of what she said. Dad, when are you ever going to get married? I think it's been, I'm meeting too many ladies and I would
Yeah,
like
maybe.
you to be settled. It sounds like her mama may be married and has, a great life with a partner
Mm.
and she wants her dad to have the same thing. He's the only one that's, appropriately at an appropriate age with a teenage child because he's only 53 with a
Yeah,
14-year-old daughter. I mean, that means he was in his late 30s.
and I don't know like what this says about me, and judge me if you want, but I kind of thought, dang it, why does he look so good? I
Well,
thought he was
it's the
acting
hair.
so good.
It's the hair.
Yeah, he looked
It's the
handsome, and
hair.
then I just ended up being bitterly disappointed by how kind of crap he ended up becoming. I was like, God damn it, you looked good. Did you
Right.
have to be that bad?
And he is the subtle man that you will think he has a career. He looks
Yeah,
good, takes care of himself. He's a
yeah, he looks
family
very
man.
put together.
You would think that he would be the one to try and settle down. Trey, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I had a quick question for Miss Moon, Miss Angel. What was it exactly about the daughter that perturbed you?
It was more the fact that she kept kind of saying, say yes, you have to say yes. Like, she kind of seemed, I guess to me at least, she seemed as desperate as I would assume someone who's actually going to get married should be. Now, I don't think anybody who gets married, by the way, should be desperate. But if anybody was going to be desperate on that show, I might expect it to be the person getting married, not their child. Like, she
Did
was
you
very like, you have to.
did you feel like she was out of her place for for talking to her father in that manner?
Like, if she had said it once, it might have been something. But the fact that she kept saying it and he wasn't checking her says either he's clueless about how to deal with teenagers, or he's used to her saying this and thought nothing of it himself. I'm not sure. I think it's okay because, as I said, like when you're that young, everything seems like a fairy tale and a romance to you. And you think, oh, it's so beautiful and they met in this unique way. And if he marries her, isn't that so romantic? And I could say, my father met someone in this weird way that nobody does. And I can understand at that age, you'd probably think like that. But as the mature adult, he should have the, I suppose, common sense to say to her, look, it might not be the fairy tale romance that you think it is. We'll do the best we can, maybe.
Would it be better, Moondust Angel, if she asked Dad, would you please say yes? I hope you say yes, rather than telling him.
Yeah, I think if she'd asked him, do you think you're gonna say yes? I think it would be really nice if you did, and they had a discussion. It might have been something, but she really seemed to be pressuring him to say yes. And to be honest, when they both said no, like she seemed so devastated and crestfallen herself that I thought actually it was kind of sad that no one probably has had this conversation with her about like realistic expectations. And I kind of thought, is she going to grow up thinking now, maybe you put in all the effort and you don't get anything out? I think maybe, and this could just be me, but maybe there should be a more realistic conversation, I guess, about love. Like maybe sometimes it doesn't work out, but that's not the same for everybody. It didn't work out for me. That doesn't mean it won't work out for you. And I don't want you to be disheartened by this. This is only my experience. That's the
Um,
kind of thing I might say.
I get y'all ladies' points on this, and I can see it. But I viewed the daughter's comments on the father a bit differently. The
Okay.
way she was coming off to me was, I am tired of seeing you philandering around with women at your age. Like, bro, get it together. Because think about it, we still talking about how Ricardo is still moving somewhat like an old F boy. His daughter, which I think he loves, and she loves her dad dearly, but she's probably preview to all of this. She's privy to all of this. At some point, you get tired, like, hey, like, come on, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I had to have. I
I
was gonna
agree
say,
with you.
I ain't gonna say real quick. I had to have a conversation with an uncle of mine years ago that was much older than me, whatever, and he was still moving around like it was 1970 something. Like, bro, you ain't Superfly no more. What you doing? Like, stop. Same thing with
Ricardo
my
is
auntie,
Ricardo is still Superfly in his head.
and that's the problem. And I'm guaranteeing you, she saw that. It was like, Dad, she met this lady. Outside of this show, this can be honest. Like I said, I do believe that he liked Nivea. I think Nivea liked him. I do think outside of this, they actually get along. It's just that in this little process here, it was probably never going to work because I don't think neither one of them actually took this whole thing seriously. That's just my personal belief in how they was acting. This I know we never really get this or whatever, but I'm always interested whenever we see these castmates. I'm always interested to who was actually recruited versus who actually signed on, and that
Right.
tells you a whole lot of that person right then and there. And
Yeah.
if my memory serves, both of them were not recruited, but they were put on the show by other people.
Right.
Both of them. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, I don't know. So just a bit, and let's keep it real. Nivea, like this, she wasn't really ready herself. She just lost her ex-husband how many years ago? 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
You just lost your love of your life 5 years ago. And let's keep it real. In her own words, she said she don't think she's been doing. She's been working and she's been outside. The way she moves, she's still an outside mindset. She's
Yep.
outside.
He passed 3 years ago, and the last 2 years is where he was ill.
Yeah, she's been outside, and she still acts like she's in an outside mindset. She's out there having fun, and now all of a sudden you want me to believe that you ready to just settle down again. I don't know. And the same thing with Ricardo. Like, bro, he's been outside all his life. He's
He
been outside all
he
his
tripped
life.
up 14 years ago and had a daughter.
Yeah, he's been outside. He still acts like he's outside. You know, even in his little confessional at the end, like, yeah, I had 2 somewhat relationships, whatever it didn't. I'm like, yo, he's still outside. And if y'all caught it, they try to play it off. They still conversate with one another.
Yes. Friends with benefits.
I think there's a lot more than conversation. Thank you, El. There's a lot more than conversating going on. Okay? Nah. They both have outside energy. So nah. They both were ready. So the part of me, that's why I can understand where the daughter might be coming from. Like, Dad, I love you, but I've been watching you all my life. Hang it up. Okay? You can't keep going like this forever. Okay? I actually want to see you happy with somebody that loves you.
It could be, Daddy, I ain't gonna be taking care of you by the time I'm ready to have my family. I need you to have a spouse that's gonna take care of you. Trey, I want to give Sam a moment to talk about them, if I can. Sam, thank you for being patient.
Oh, no, I'm enjoying it. I did write my notes on a Post-it so I can be concise. So the tomatoes are coming. Get ready to hit the tomatoes emoji.
Oh, no.
While I respect all points of view expressed, I have a different perspective completely. And I say that with love because all of you made great points, but I'm seeing it very, very differently. The daughter gets every pass in the world. She is 14 and she didn't ask to be involved in this process. Her dad brought her into it. She was living her life as a teenager when he came and said, baby girl, here's what I'm thinking about doing. So whatever feelings that she has or didn't have, you have them at 14, and I've heard those same things at 55. So baby girl gets all the passes from me because she didn't ask to be a part of that process. And when we talked about love as friends, why some people choose to bring the kids in and don't choose to bring, this is the perfect example of why you do not bring kids in. Because yes, it's true. She was bought in. She was sold to the idea of what it was, just like 55-year-olds and older up. All right. Because they were all there for the same reason. Yeah, she got emotional about it. He probably wasn't sharing with her what his real feelings were and where he was going, which would have been inappropriate conversation with a 14-year-old. So she could only go by what she knew, what she thought. And so she gets every pass. I'm sorry he brought her into it. I think it would have been better to say, if this goes someplace, maybe it makes sense to introduce. So that's what I'll say about her, but no disrespect to different perspectives. That's just the way I saw it. As far as when, and this is not after dark, so I'm going to keep this nice and clean. Nivea walked out as a baddie. When I saw her walk out in that dress, with the swag, like, yeah, I don't need anybody to walk me down the aisle, not even my sister. When I saw her walk up there, I said, oh, she's gonna say no. She was swagged up. She was caught. She didn't even look. I said, oh no, plot twist. I don't think she's gonna say yes. Just her whole energy. She was smiling. She was swagged up. I thought, oh boy, I don't know how this is going. I started to get a tinge of that when, for her, the bachelorette party, she had on her little dress and, it was glittery and she had all this kind of the energy that Trey was talking about earlier. I thought, oh, wow, interesting. So I was starting to get little breadcrumbs. I think that at the end of it all, she weighed her pros and she weighed her cons. I think she was still steaming because she said it. To walk away from me at a dinner table, I have never had that happen a day in my life. Who picked up the tab is what I want to know. That was probably production who picked it up, but not the point. I think when she really started to add those things and look at it, it didn't make it worth it. And so, yes, other things, her kids weren't on board because now I don't know if this was in the translation. I caught on to when she said she referred to him as Rick. And I thought, oh, Now he's Rick. What happened to Ricardo? Now he's Rick. And so I thought, oh, she's through. She's too through. She's like through. Now, maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I was starting to do my own arithmetic and I was starting to do my own kind of reading. Let me see what else I got on my little post-it before I drag on and on. Yeah, I guess overall, a little bit of a surprise, but then again, not when I really think it through. He was playa, so he wasn't bothered by it. And I think she, it wasn't making dollars and cents at this point to do that. And I think not having anybody around, kids, people, I think all of those things. And in closing, I will just say I feel bad for the daughter. I feel really bad for her because at the end, that was the last image of what she saw. And no matter how much they, pulled out their champagne glasses and be happy, it's all good, we're friends. I just think to have brought her in for that to look like that made zero sense. So those are my thoughts. No disrespect to different opinions.
We love different opinions around here. What I will say is I love Brazil for actually having the bachelorette party be the messy time that you bring everybody together, including the old pod people. I thought that was good and messy because now you have the men, because Ricardo was the first one to say, I'm looking to see what these other ladies from the pods look like. And Ed is the one saying, why? Why do you care? But it was messy good. It was messy good. I don't mind if they do it for the younger folks this way, because that would be messy good. Right before your wedding, you now start to see the other people that you could have been matched with.
All people, Ed said it.
Of all people. And Ed also, that would lead me into it. Ed also had a lot to say. Okay. Ed had a lot to say. Ed and Ida. Ed had a lot to say about Revo and his behavior with Leo and Lika. I don't think Revo is invited to anything that Ed got going on, because Ed said that was disrespectful. That man tried to take that man. He told Fabio, and I forgot the other man that was standing there with him. It was Fabio and somebody else. Oh, Mario. The Mario who walked all the way out. So I said, you are okay with Mario walking out on Lucy. I'll just call her Lou. I forgot. Luciana, sorry. You okay with him, but then you think it's a complete violation, Revo and Leo. But Ed had a lot to say. Ed had a lot to say about Ida. They were the only ones that were married. They got married. They were, how can I say, they are no longer together. Ed said that Ida thinks she know it all, but she ain't doing it all because he's still doing everything in the house. And Ida says that, Ed isn't up to her standard or level, and I guess she still feels he's looking down on her. Trey, you're going to start us off.
This is the only couple that I thought was both going to say yes. And this is also the only couple, I don't say this much, this is the only couple that I believe everything each couple said about one another is true. For what Ida said about Ed and what Ed said about Ida, because you can see it. And you saw bits and pieces of it, especially on this tail end. It was these last few days there. I was like, I see the cracks. Ida works too much. She's always on her phone. Ed out here cleaning. He's doing exactly what, in his mind, what you're supposed to do at the house. And listen, we're both here. We got to put in some work around here. We just ain't been sitting up here looking crazy. What we doing? But I can also see Ida say by Ed, when he feels some type of way, he's going to start talking and yelling. So I get it. I think that both were absolutely true for what they said about one another. It's just one of those situations. If they were younger, I would say, hey, I think y'all both can work through this. But being that they are their age that they are, they're too set in their ways to try and work through it. Even though mentally, physically, they're a match. But they're too set in their ways to try and make things work at this point in time. Because like I said, I believe both of them. for what they said about one another. The only thing that threw me off was Ida. It's weird. The whole season, I was riding with Ida. I was like, I like this old lady. I like this old lady. It's cool. Yeah, she cool as that. She gets it. She
Tell it,
understands it.
Trey. I left it for you to give it. Tell it.
I get her. But then she threw me off on this catch up. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Okay. When she said, maybe this is what you think. When she said, I'm at a point now where sex is not that important. You know, I prefer patience, this, that, third. My brain went, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait, whoa. Then why did you lead with sex with Ed the entire time y'all were talking? Wait. But then she doubled back in the same statement and said, yeah, I got multiple friends right now. We're having a good time. I said, hold on, wait. Okay, now I'm confused, Ida. What's going on here? I'm not begrudging you. You know, if you want to be single out here, mingle and have multiple situations, that's your prerogative. It's 2025. We ain't got time to be doing all this, slamming and all. No, do what you do. But don't be confusing out here. Don't be moving the goalposts for a situation just to try to explain it away. Like this you confuse me in that little statement. I went, what's happening here? Hold on. And did you do that to Ed? And that could explain why he was probably tripping on you a little bit. Like, hold on, what's going on here? You show up in one way. Now we get to the everyday. It was funny how Ed said when it came to the everyday stuff, that's when the cracks started showing. I said, now we get to the everyday, and you switching lanes, and oh no, I actually want this. It's like, okay. And then he was right. I think she is the type of woman, she wants it her way or the highway. Listen, there's a lot of people like that in this world, but one thing has always been true, that is very hard to sustain when you're actually in a committed relationship or marriage with somebody. It can't be your way or the highway at 100% of the time. If you truly think like that, you need to be single by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And stay that way. You can still have relationships, whatever, but you got to be single. And keep that over there. It cannot be your way to highway. Like, that would make me run off rip. Like, I'm out. You know? And Ed, yes, I agree with Ida. He has to control or at least get a better handle on his, I don't want to say the word, but his temper. Because it does seem like he likes to fly off at the handle sometimes and have a little temper about some things. You know, so yes, I believe every single thing that they said about one another. It was weird. I was like, okay, so y'all probably were the best couple that just couldn't get it right. Just couldn't get it right because y'all was too set in y'all ways, both of y'all. Both of y'all.
They were way set in their ways. Ari, we still have you.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm just listening. But I knew it. I knew they weren't gonna last to this reunion, not reunion. I was like, because they were just knocking the boots, as you put in the chat, like that you wanted Alexa to play. So, I mean, I kind of knew that they weren't gonna last too much longer. I mean, I would have been surprised if they last past this reunion, not reunion, because I was gonna be like, but yeah, I was like, they all I saw when I saw them on screen was them getting it in or talking about getting it in. I was like, that, I mean, that's important. Obviously, I talked about it enough that part of relationship is important, but if that's the only thing y'all can talk about, then I mean, y'all ain't building on the right things. So, I mean, so I knew that they weren't really gonna last all too long. I mean, I was surprised they even said yes to begin with, but I mean, I figured if they said yes, they weren't gonna last too much longer after that. So, I mean, As far as cause wasn't she the one that said that he was yelling at her after the fact?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
But he was
yeah,
yelling at her at the gym too, so we know he
that's
capable.
true. That's true. So he kind of laid the foundation a little bit there. So, I mean, can't be doing that, my good sir. I mean, ugh, I don't know. I mean,
Well, if you're working out wrong, you're working out wrong, but that's a whole different subject.
But he
true.
been working her out. Sorry, Ari.
Stop it. Oh, stop it.
Sorry, Ari.
Okay.
I mean, this is a testament. They are living separately. They are living separately. They kept their
yeah,
apartments,
that's right.
and they still couldn't keep a marriage together.
Yeah, are they actually divorced yet? Because all I heard them say was that they went down to the courthouse and got the legal separation, and that was about it. I ain't hearing nothing on anything about them actually getting a divorce. I mean, I don't know how it works down in Brazil, but I
It's
assume
just
you
separation.
actually.
I think
Yeah,
it's
you have
just
to get a legal separation for a bit of time before they would grant a divorce.
Okay, so that sounds kind of about right here
Yeah.
because I think that's what, at least in some states, you might have to like get a legal separation first before you can actually get a divorce. So, but yeah, I mean, I just didn't know how it worked down there, so I didn't know if they could just get a divorce right away or not. So, 'cause I don't know how that legal system works, but yeah, I mean, and then he ran into her friend who ran and told her that she saw him later after the fact. That was like, okay, like why do we need to know that? I mean, I'm not sure exactly what that is for, unless it's to say she came screaming at him for some reason, and so I'm not sure exactly what that was for. But I mean,
it's giving all the friends like him.
I guess, I guess. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
he's a hospitable type of guy, and as he said, every day is a new day. But and she may carry, an issue to the next day. But again, I saw problems with both of them, like Trey said, problems with both. But if the intimacy ain't the important thing, then why do we constantly have to see it? And it could be production. We didn't see them talking about anything other than intimacy, lamb chops, and exercising.
mm-hmm. I mean,
So
so I
that
mean,
gonna fill your belly one way or another. I'm just saying. Sorry. Sorry, Ari.
give me your microphone. Give me your microphone.
I was
You just killed Trey. Oh, I can't stand you right now. I can't stand you.
I'm sorry. That's what popped in my head. This is what happens when it just popped in my head, and I have to remember I'm not in members. I had to say it in a proper way. So, Moondust Angel, save us, please.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, Elsid, I think Ari is a little bit too innocent for that. You can't say shocking things like that. She'll
It's
do
not that I'm
something.
innocent. It's just that I wasn't expecting her to say it. It was Trey. You ain't calling him innocent. Calm down. Wait, please.
Mhm. Yeah. As for this couple, like my view might be different again, but I heard from somebody on, and I don't remember who it was, but someone that's on the regular Love is Blind, the American one, gave an interview, and they said like that they were essentially told that if you're very like sexually active and stuff, or you're showing a bit of nudity, like you'll be shown more on the show. So that if that's what you want, like if you want to be seen, you're gonna do more of that. So I feel this couple might have been kind of hamming that up, thinking like, hey, we'll get way more screen time if we do this. However, I kind of found it disingenuous because it's not realistic for me, at least. And I don't know how other people feel. But when you're really with somebody, like, you're not going to be up to doing that every day. Because then, it's not special anymore if you're doing it every day. It's not interesting any longer. And to be honest, I feel anyway, if you're doing it every day, it's a bit of a chore and it's annoying. Just because, it's not special any longer. And I feel like they both had problems, and they both, in my opinion, sucked at compromising. Like, none of them were good at compromising. Like, I thought, was quite, she could be quite mean, I suppose, about her view of him, and the whole thing about her telling her friends about the wine and being a little bit snobby about the wine, which in my opinion was kind of silly. It's not necessary to do that. You can have a different point of view. I mean, we're not going to die. You don't always all have to think the same thing. And if you don't think the same thing, that's also not a failure. And I feel like that's something she kind of failed to understand. Like, you can have differences, and that's okay. Maybe, he does like a more expensive kind of wine. Well, okay, but he's not saying you have to like it. You're assuming this, and it's a you problem. And as for him, he just needs to learn to calm down more and kind of not always bark so much. Like, I felt when he was trying to tell her what to do, he was kind of do this and do that. And then when she was kind of saying, I'm not going to do that, I'm doing my own thing. I kind of got the impression from him that he was, annoyed, kind of like, fine, do whatever the hell you want. Now, to be honest, I think he said that because he realized it wasn't going to get him anywhere if he continued, because she did come across as the kind of woman who just leaves them alone. Okay, they're going to do what they want. You don't need the headache. But also, you need to be a lot calmer. To be honest, and I, like, maybe this is just me now, and I might be just quite a serious person in some regards. But for me, like, a wedding is not something to be entered into lightly, or a marriage, shall I say. And it's kind of sacred. So when he was kind of saying, I do, and jumping around the place, that for me was ever so slightly childish. And I know that's probably not a popular view, but I kind of thought, what's wrong with just saying that you do? Do you really need to involve everybody like it's some kind of production? Can't you just say that you do and be happy? But as I said, like, none of them kind of really understood like how to compromise. Like, she even said to him, which I was kind of thinking, like, why didn't you learn from what you said? Like, she said to him her last relationship had ended because she works on the phone and was constantly on the phone, and that's why it ended. But then proceeded to still be on the phone. You seem to be saying that you're a bit aware of why your last relationship ended, but you're not showing that. So I wasn't really all that surprised to figure out they didn't work because, as I said, I don't think either of them understood how to compromise, and that you don't have to be right all the time. And you don't have to be talking, down to somebody, or, saying, well, they like this and this is silly, or, you don't have to be the same. It's all about compromise and kind of learning to understand each other, and also talking to somebody and not at them. Because I feel both of them had the habit of talking at each other and very much like, I'm right, you're wrong, and this is the end of it, particularly for him. And, relax. It's okay. You don't have to be right all the time. And sometimes neither of you know what the answer is. And it's okay to say, actually, none of us know. Even in the situation with the gym, like, I feel she could have said to him, which she didn't say, but she could have said, look, I'm more of a Pilates person. You don't know about Pilates, but maybe I can teach you some. And maybe you can teach me something about the gym. But it doesn't have to be like, you do this and you do it this way. It just looked silly. So I wasn't really surprised it didn't work out. They're both too demanding for each other, I think.
Sam, it seems like maybe Ed is more used to a more pliable young woman. Is that
Don't say
is that
that, you'll kill Ari.
Ari is muted, so she can laugh to her heart's content. That's why let me. Do you think
I
Ed is
would
more?
Moon Just Angel, you're gonna need to be quiet because that no. That no.
Sam?
Well, I'll say yes to what you're saying. I believe that SMEX is how it started and it's how it ended. And when you have nothing in between that, that's what led to a bunch of unseriousness. It led to conversations, important conversations that should have been had if you really are looking for a life with each other. The same sloppy way they kissed when they met is the same sloppy kiss that he had, after they said I do. Sorry, Trey. It was the same. It was the same mess of it all. And so, my take of it was that And it wasn't a shock, as Ari said earlier. I believe I may have said in a previous conversation that I believed that 6, 7, 8, 9 months into it, this was going to be a wrap. That the things that were cute, not washing dishes, not cooking, being on your phone, this was not going to have longevity. This might be great in the beginning when things are new, but it wasn't going to be something that in the long run could carry them through a lifetime together. So I was not shocked. I was not surprised. I believed that they may have said yes, but that it just wouldn't last afterwards. So I do think I expected there to be a yes at the altar, but by the reunion, I felt like, yeah, no, I don't think this is not going to go. So what I'm curious about, because none of that is a surprise to me, but I guess it goes back to what Trey said. I mean, is this, and although you said it about a different couple, but were you selected? I mean, did somebody kind of throw your name in the hat because they were looking for people that were older, and most older people said, "Are you kidding me? No, I'm not going to do that." And this is what you got? Or did these people actually enter this in a serious way of really looking for their soulmate? And I don't think it's the latter. I really don't. So I think it goes back to land the plane. If you're going to get in these situations, it would have been nice to have a game plan. These two did not have a game plan past the, like I said, the sexiness of it. Or sorry, I said I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. Just the physical attraction of it all is really how it began. And so I think it was inevitable that it would look like it looked. And then yes, final point, Moondust and Arya, the theatrics of the I do was silly. I just thought that was unnecessary. And at first I thought he was joking. He was going to say, I do not, is what is where I thought he was headed with that, because he was so extended. I was like, oh no, he's going to say, I do not. And he didn't. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know where you were headed with that. So yeah, I don't have, no tomatoes for this one. I'm in alignment with everybody on this one.
So y'all, those are the three couples that ended up at the altar. Because Trey was not with us last week, he missed the opportunity to talk about Leo and Lika, Revo, Sylvia. I'm going to have him kind of give his thoughts, and then we're going to go around and do final thoughts about the season. And Trey, I had a question last week, and I was very upset that you weren't here, because I was like, wait a minute, how is it Lika? Is it unfair to expect your fiance to be able to perform well when he's on NyQuil?
NyQuil? Oh, where'd NyQuil come from?
He was sick, remember? He was ill. And she's like, his performance is lackluster. And I'm like, he on cold medicine. He say he getting the flu and he taking medicine.
Oh yeah, that's right. What the heck? Nah, you know what? Leo, I think Leo is the proximate gentleman and has proven to be that over the course of this season, for the most part. I think he had to do that face. I think he hit the nail on the head. You know, he pretty much said what we kind of thought. And in that last wrap up, he said when they first, everything was good until they first saw each other, and the attraction just really wasn't there. So, yeah, he was just he was going through the motions as well. Like, she wasn't it.
And his motions were not satisfying to her.
Hey, I'm not surprised. If she ain't it, you ain't trying to give her your all anyway. You like, listen, I mean, I give you a little bit, whatever. That's usually how it go. I've been there. Unfortunately, it's happened. Okay. I have given some lackluster lash because I just wasn't in it. I was like, because being a guy at times, I was young. You never know when it's going to happen again. So let's just go ahead and, cool. But it wasn't, but I didn't go across to say, you were lackluster, even though it was. It was like, it was all lackluster. Because is she trying to say that first of all, Lika gives Pillow Princess to me. First off. You know what I'm saying?
I said starfish.
Yeah. Yeah, straight pillow princess. So I'm sorry. God, I'm about to say something crazy. Nah, I'm sorry. You can't expect. You can only expect lackluster when you are lackluster yourself. Okay, you only deserve lackluster lash when you are lackluster starfish. Okay, this is what it is. I'm sorry. This is how I feel. You want somebody to break their back? I'm busting my legs out. I got sore. Nah, no, we ain't doing that. But anyway, Rivio, Sylvia, we're so glad that it ended when it did. Just get on screen. I still don't trust Sylvia. She bothers me. I'm sorry. She's scary. Okay, but like I truly think her and Lucy, the other Lucy, on the same wavelength.
Luciana,
Yeah. Is it Luciana or no?
Lucy
Lucy Amaya.
Elma,
Lucy
Lucy
Elma.
Elma. Yeah, because Sylvia uses the nunchucks and Lucy Elma is known as the Blade Queen.
Yeah, they on the same wavelength. I think she's on the same timing as her. Same two birds, two peas in a pod. That's why they hooked up together so hard. Like, yeah, they're the same woman. So I was skeptical on her from the very beginning. You running here running around these nunchucks, like, nah, relax, grandma. Okay, relax. Okay, all right. I think she's funny. I think she's probably amusing, whatever, but she's messy. So I don't want to be near her. She is messy. Rivio, it's interesting. The only thing I didn't agree with from what I saw, especially in that last episode, the only thing I never agreed with, they were hard. This may start an argument. They were hard down trying to portray Rivio as if he cheated. And I was like, wait, okay, whoa. Inappropriate? Yes. Cheated? When? It was weird how they just went, no, he was a cheater. I was like, when did he cheat? When did that happen? Especially when he did it in front of everybody's face. It's like, nah, told a woman, yeah, I'm going after your woman. What? Which is crazy. I'm going after your woman. Oh, okay.
I invited her he invited her for dinner on the side. He ain't say, he didn't tell Leo. Lika told Leo she was invited to dinner.
But is that cheating?
So it may not be seen as cheating, but it's seen as a huge violation. Remember,
yes,
we're talking about, and I hate to stereotype it, y'all, but we're talking about Brazilian men.
Yes.
The bravado, the machismo, all of that. I'm sorry. You even if you telling me, but Revo was jokey telling. And it was like, wait a minute, why would you even make that joke? But remember, Revo has a reputation from the pods. He had that conversation with Wagner. He had that with Leo, made the best man win. And Leo won in that sense with Lika, but it seems like Revo didn't let it go when he met Lika.
Yeah. And according to them, nothing came about it. They tried to stick them together for the little wedding thing, to have a little talk, whatever. But they say they never actually talked, so nothing came about it. It's just what it was. So I'm like, okay, Revo was there for entertainment purposes for the season, and he definitely brought entertainment purposes for the season.
He's the oldest man. He's the oldest man at 67 years old.
And acted like a 30-something. Actually it was more 20-something, but I'm trying to give him 30. But he was acting like he had like a plum fool a lot of times. But the only thing I can't speak too bad against, because he told you exactly what he was going to do, say how he was going to go about it. Especially when he was in there with the men. That's why I never was too mad or upset. A couple of weeks ago, we had this discussion. I was never upset with how Rivio was moving, because he never did it behind their backs. He did it right in front of their face and then told them he was going to do it. Made the best man win. And there it was. So I can't get too mad over that. It's like, bro, he wasn't being sneaky. He told you right to your face. Even after he met Leak, and told Leo, hey, bro, listen, we still boys, but hey, I hear it ain't working out. Okay, I like her. She looks good.
And you know your boy is plowing his woman, and you still going after her. I'm sorry.
You know what? You know what? You know what I think it is? I think, I'm gonna be honest, I think him and Leo had a talk off screen. I think Rivio knew that Leo really wasn't feeling Lika anyway. And because after what
Until
Leo,
he realized that Lika was that possessive in telling off Leo in front of the waitress and the other patrons.
yes. But I do think he talked off screen with Leo, and Leo probably had some words like, we're trying, but I'm, just not the connection's just not there. We're trying to build it, see what happens. But that explains to why Leo kind of didn't really care if Rivio was trying to talk to her in the first place. Now it all makes sense. He wasn't feeling her like that.
So Trey, since you've told us that you have given obligatory humping and thumping.
Not obligatory.
Was she wrong though?
Hey, Art, you know my name. Say it right before you jump in, all right?
Nope, never in my life.
Yeah. You christened me that name. You started it, so you will finish what you started.
I ain't started it.
Kids,
Yes,
I'm gonna need the private chat to stay private. Trey, since you have given obligatory peen, as you have said, would you feel some kind of way if another dude said, I wanna take that obligation off your hands?
You know what? I have given up the obligation before because I was in Leo's position, wasn't feeling it. And I knew she wasn't feeling me like that. Homeboy looked at us like, hey, I like her. You know what? Let me move on out. Let me smooth the path for you. And everything was fine.
Wow. Interesting. It sounded like, toys on a shelf. I play with it this time and I will let somebody else, I'll return it to the store so somebody else can buy it off the rack. I mean, that's what it sounded like.
I mean, you could take it that way, but this is the only reason why it was allowed because the other guy was genuinely interested. Not like
one man's return is another man's treasure.
That's my point. Yeah, he was genuinely interested. So it was like, you know what? Let me slide out. Let me slide out the way.
I find it quite interesting that someone is genuinely interested knowing that they're receiving services from someone else that they know. I mean, that is a conversation I need to have in the members live because I have so much to ask and say because we always say the men are high on the instep as to, if their women have been around and been passed around.
Well, I don't sleep with town. He can assume I want to, but I never told him that it was new. But I never told him that it actually went down. I just said, it's cool. We talked for like a few days, whatever, but I could tell we really weren't feeling each other. That's all what was said.
Okay.
So it was still new enough to be like, you know what, hey bro, back out. Ain't no feelings into this. Let me back out of there. Maybe you can slide through because he genuinely liked it. The only reason why I got at her is because I guess it was at an event. I didn't know that he was feeling her. I came in late. I spoke her out. I was like, oh, let me go holler. And I got there first before he did.
Ooh. Ray J said I hit it first. So as I said, I have questions that will be saved for a member live for when you do come up, Trey. I have questions going down that realm. But I want to get y'all, let's wrap it up. Let me get Moondust Angel, then Ari, Sam, then Trey. Your final word on this season, and do we need at least 5 more?
Yeah, so I think this season was definitely entertaining and very eye-opening for me. I already said I had misconceptions when I entered because of the way it started. I should have known better. Clearly, even adults make mistakes, or older adults, I should say. We're all adults, but older people make mistakes. And I, was surprised by, I guess, the amount of really stupid decisions the middle-aged folks make. You wouldn't think so, but they do. And I, like you, Elsid, would love to see more kind of other series of this in other countries dealing with, middle-aged people, because I want to know, I guess, for my own curiosity, is it just the middle-aged Brazilians that are silly, or are they silly worldwide? Yeah, so yeah, I thought, the whole series was very interesting. I think Revo and Lika at the end trying to say that, like, oh, we never hooked up, it was never anything. That was really silly. Like, who's gonna believe that? They came into the wedding on each other's arms. No one is believing that nothing happened there. I think what probably happened there is that they did hook up and both were disappointed, and they probably just both didn't want to admit that. Because I think, they say like the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes it's not always greener on the other side. Sometimes it's astroturf. And you have to go there to find out. So definitely this was a very interesting series. I'm wondering if the next one they do is also going to be middle-aged. I hope it is. Because this was so fun and entertaining. I mean, seriously, like middle-aged people are so silly and they're messy, and I'm kind of here for the messiness, really, because it makes it seem like it's not so bad when you're slightly younger and you're messing up. You think, well, hey, at least they're messing up too. It's not just us.
Ari?
Okay. I can honestly live without another 50s or above version. Don't do that, Trey. Don't do that head tilt. I can kind of live without it. I mean, maybe for a little while. Maybe if like, cause I don't know, this was bad. This was bad. Cause I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I really didn't think that it would be any
Can you
better.
guys hear me?
Yes.
Can someone
Right
say
now I can hear you.
something?
Sam.
Oh, I can't hear you guys. Shoot. Okay.
But anyway, um, maybe because
Turn, maybe
in
you
a
can
little
just
bit, maybe in a little bit, like down the line, we can do that. Like have them another like 40 or 50s and up, or maybe even like a 40s and up. But at the moment, it's just, yeah, no, this was all, I mean, yes, it was mess, but at this point I'm starting to get a little like little disillusioned with these shows, because, well, yes, mess is a little fun and can be cute to watch, maybe, um but I don't know. I want to see a happy ending. Like, I want to see a happy ending. Like, this is why I really enjoyed the Japanese version, was because if the people knew that they just weren't gonna make it to the end, to the altar, it didn't. They didn't. Um, they just called it quits, and it didn't feel like there was a penalty if they just didn't get there. And that's what I really liked about that. And I really loved the fact that, like, the two couples that did make it are still going strong, and they actually have a child each. That's what I really liked about it. um so I just, and this is kind of why I gave up the US version, unfortunately, because it's become too toxic, in my opinion. It's really produce driven, and I just can't find anything um, nice to watch anymore. So, and I'm honestly on the line with Maths, to be honest, at this point, like the US version anyway, because I still kind of watch that. So I'll see after, not to kind of get a little bit too off topic, but I mean, with these ones, I don't know. It's like, I really just want them to vet for real, and actually like get back to the premise of the show, because at this point it's gotten too far off track, even in the international versions, unfortunately. And it's just So unfortunately, I'm going to be putting this version on pause for the time being and just try out the other versions to see what happens with those, see if it's any better, especially considering that these other versions are going to only have the first seasons for the obviously the first time. So, but yeah, it's a no for right now for the 50 and over, and it was what it was while we watched it. So that's all I'm gonna say, because ain't nobody really needed to be together. So
Production, I'm sorry. I'm here for the trash mess and drama. I'm here for it. Sam.
Yeah, sorry about the interruption earlier, you guys. And I know I missed a portion of what was said, but I think the question is what we thought of it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was happy to see an older demographic that was on the show. I think that I can appreciate what Ari's saying. I'm not sure, though, it had to do with their ages. I think it had everything to do with production. I agree with what I think Ari was saying, in the sense that to me, they've kind of gotten off the beaten track a little bit. There's a lack of consistency. I think shApp said it well earlier when she said it was almost as if people just kind of got together just for the sake of who they could match up with. And when you do that, then it makes it more about the show of it all instead of a real connection of it all. And I think that especially the piece about the runaway bride, that just seemed produced. And it didn't need to be. I think you just need to hold people to the fire and say, hey, the rules are, it's okay to say no. There's nothing wrong with that. We'd encourage that if that's how you feel, but you got to make it down the aisle. You can't start, being the co-producer or the co-director of a show that you've signed up for. Now, the only other thing I'll say is that, and Moondes has asked a question I'm going to want to answer in just a second, but I think the only other thing I'll say is that it seems like different versions of Love is Blind. I'm wondering if they have different rules for how people can do things, what they can reveal about each other. So I don't know if I'm judging that harshly, or maybe they don't have certain rules. Maybe you can go willy-nilly and kind of do your own thing. And I think that's problematic. So all of that to say, I would like to see another version, but I would like them to tighten things up. And I would like producers to kind of, not try to coax, because somebody had to let, homegirl hold her friend's hand and say yes. Somebody had to let her in and know that conversation was about being a runaway and not really seeing the wedding through. And that was a problem. So that would be my thoughts on that. I don't know. Am I allowed to ask a question that was in the private chat, or would you rather I not do that, Elsie?
If the person who asked you in the private chat wants it public, that's fine with me.
Okay. Is it okay if I answer it? I won't say who it is. Is it okay? Okay. So the question I'm getting is, do I think the experience was like an experience I might have had, I might have given, given that I'm a little bit closer in age to them? I think that the analytical part of me would have really taken it seriously. I would have asked those questions that need to be asked, because at this age, I just feel like I have too much to lose to be silly about it. To get married and lose half of my retirement, if that marriage doesn't work out, I'm thinking about that. I mean, I would love a soulmate, but it's got to make sense. So if I were in the pod, I wouldn't even be picked for the show, because I think I would be too pragmatic about why I was showing up and what I wanted that to look like. I think I wouldn't be messy enough for them to have a show of it, because I would really take it seriously and ask those questions and ask about finances. Are your parents still alive? What does that mean if one of them gets sick? If they are, I would be asking all those things, and I think they'd hate me for that. So these folks were silly to me. They didn't take it seriously. They were, they didn't handle it in a way. So while I liked seeing it and I'd like to see it again, I would just like there to be a more mature cast, if you will. Casting, I would like to see them pick people that were really in it for the right reason and not for the showy reason of it all. I hope that answers your question.
It definitely does sound like it. Trey, wrap us up before I wrap us up.
Um, to someone and listen, we came into the season expecting something different when honestly we got some of the same that we've always gotten with this show. It's just within a different age demographic. Um, now to some of the thoughts that the last few ladies have been projected, I would say this: I have never watched these type of shows for love because it doesn't exist on TV, especially in reality TV. So I do understand the feeling of. I also wish a lot of these, if you're going to do these shows and live on some of these premises, I do wish that they had a lot more success stories. But unfortunately, how a lot of these productions, especially in Western society, is really what we're talking about here, how a lot of these production shows are set up. They understand that most people, unfortunately, are going to be more attracted to the drama and mess of it all. So they're going to either try and recruit or choose people that's going to lean more into that arena. Because I can almost probably guarantee you, this is just by any, if we're talking about, especially if we're talking about Love is Blind specifically, any season, any iteration that we've seen of this show, you can almost guarantee you. Remember, they only choose 5 or so couples out of the 15, out of the 30 total that comes on this show. I guarantee you there were other couples or other people that were serious about this. But they're probably not going to make the final cut because they're going to be perceived as boring. Which is, I'm be honest, it's sad to hear that, even though it may be very true. Me personally, I like boring people. And there's not too many things I find boring. I would find it funny in a lot of things. Give me a boring couple, and we're going to laugh about them all day. You know how goofy they are? Oh, they just fit so well together. Yeah, I don't need drama like that to have a good time. I never did. It's fun to talk about. But I do wish they at least, and honestly, this is a microcosm of how today's society is set up. Because when Love is Blind first started out, and even Maths, because they're the same production company, Kinetic. If you think about it, how the shows first started out, the average was always the same. They always at least had 2 couples that worked out each season. 2 to 3, especially with Mavs in the beginning seasons, at least 2 to 3. It was a good average for what they had. All of a sudden, at a certain point, and I said it was, to me, right around 2017, 2018, when you started noticing differences and drops all of a sudden. And that's what all shows across the board. Love and Hip Hop had really took flight, and it was messy. It was messy. Okay, that show was based off of the mess of it all with a lot of fake relationships. Just keep it real. Basketball Wives. I remember that show. I was married during that time, and my wife was in love with that show. I'm gonna tell you what I told her. I don't understand the premise of the show, especially when there's actually one basketball wife at that time that was on the show, and that was Shawnee. That was it. Everybody else wasn't a wife. Why is the show called Basketball Wives? And the only relationship that looked promising at the time, I remember that first season, was the baby mama. And her and her man actually had a relationship over years. So I'm like, they together. The rest of y'all, I don't know what's going on. So the show never made sense to me. And then I realized, oh no, this is for the potential drama that they're trying to set up. I get it now. And it started before then. Flavor of Love. Flavor of Love was the catalyst for, especially for the black shows. It was the catalyst of all of this. And we championed that thing back in the day. We did. So it's partly our fault as viewers. We watched it and loved it. I love New York. I love New York, actually. I thought she was entertaining as hell. I actually like Tiffany Pollard. I was like, yo, that girl funny. But she's a mess. And the funny thing is, she's a mess that knows she's a mess because she saw how y'all reacted to her on TV. In real life, she's not that. She's actually not really that. So it's just kind of funny. Some of this is our fault that they are giving us these stuff on the show because that's what we gravitated to. Now, I do wish, and they could do this, I do wish they would have a little bit more success stories. I'm going to just land the plane right there. I think we do need more success stories. But answer to your question earlier, I wouldn't mind seeing 50 and up in other seasons. Hopefully other countries, if they can get it. Because I'm be honest, if you do a 50 up over in Japan, it won't look like it did in Brazil. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be a lot more respectable. It's probably going to look a lot more boring to a lot of people, but it's going to be a lot more respectable. It's going to be a lot more straightforward. It ain't going to be no bull crap. Maybe a few things here and there. But
I think if we had later daters become Love is Blind, the daters in Atlanta, we see that there are a lot of people above age in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama area that came to Atlanta. I would definitely watch that. Again, people show Later Daters was considered boring, but it was a wonderful show. Ain't nobody shaking the table, ain't nobody carrying on, but it was a wonderful show. Same thing like King's Court. We just had King's Court where they ain't no drama on set or scene with the queens, and it was an amazing show. I recapped and I also interviewed Queen Catherine. So we don't have to have a whole bunch of drama to set off and have a wonderful show. But Brazil, I will say this, I started off the entire series saying this: Love is Blind Brazil has always been in the forefront, and this is no different. This season is no different. The over 50, when we heard about this months ago, right, Sam? We were excited. When I heard about it, I had to make it breaking news on this channel because we were excited, because we wanted to see dating in all realms, and that is okay. I don't mind. I was wondering if, you could do Love is Blind of a rainbow coalition. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. But the thing is that Brazil has been in the forefront. I love this, the over 50. Sometimes we don't get it together over 50. Sometimes we're still navigating through life, and it's okay. But we need to get therapy. We need to get the help that we need, and we need to be realistic at some point in our life. But y'all, thank y'all so much. Thank you to the panelists, Ari, Moondust Angel, Sam, and Trey. This has been wonderful. Y'all, I'm covering Married at First Sight UK on Sundays at noon for my American audience. I put a post as to where you guys can see clips of the show with another YouTuber on their channel, or you can get a VPN and watch it. But I have expanded to a UK, France audience, and they are in it. So I will be, doing that show as well. I'm also tomorrow night, Monday, members, I have a bachelor and a bachelorette for y'all. Okay. I have a bachelor and bachelorette that I think y'all will be delighted to meet. Okay. I think y'all would be delighted to hear the bachelor and bachelorette I have for y'all. Trey, I hope you can make it. I always have one for each of you, a bachelor or bachelorette. Okay. I don't think I have them on right now on my phone because oh yes, I do. I have the bachelor. So y'all, I'm gonna just give y'all a few seconds of the bachelor so y'all can know we do a date or dump in the membership, and I play a dating video from back in the day, and we decide if we're gonna date or dump this person.
I don't want nobody who has a lot of problems. Oh, no, I really don't. If I can help you, I can, but I don't want that to be all night. If I have to go to bed with you, I ain't gonna do none of that. I'm good. I don't want nobody who has a lot of problems. Oh.
He don't want nobody who got a whole lot of problems. Okay? He don't want that. So members, we have a bachelor that we got to figure out, and I have a bachelorette. We will also be doing signs and something that I saw in somebody's windshield out in the wild that I thought was wild. Okay? We will definitely be covering that. I am also, we have our unsolicited advices going back to a weekday. We have our unscripted, which will be on Fridays, and I'm trying to solidify an interview, and I'm hoping I could release that shortly. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your continued support. On the way out, please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. And only Love is Blind France, we're going to have another live based on the reunion that's happening next week. And I'll try and do weekly lives for Love is Blind Denver. Let me see how it works out in the calendar. But thank you all so much, and I'll see you all on the next one.